Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a really fascinating clash of fitness philosophies. We're looking at a breakdown by fitness personality coach Greg Doucette as he dissects a viral piece of content titled 4 Rules to Lose Fat as a Short Baddie. Now, the original creator outlines an approach totally tailored to her shorter stature. But Coach Greg? Well, he has a very different, highly mathematical perspective on how human physiology actually works. So let's just get straight into the breakdown.
Can she suddenly break the laws of thermodynamics? I mean, what a quote, right? This perfectly sets the stage for Greg's overarching argument. His baseline is just incredibly straightforward. The biological rules of fat loss apply identically to absolutely everyone. It really doesn't matter your height, your gender, or your background. Whether you're a short woman or a tall man, you literally cannot bypass the fundamental laws of thermodynamics. Energy in versus energy out is the great equalizer in his view. So to analyze this debate, here's our roadmap for the explainer. 1. The premise. 2. The scale versus the mirror. 3. Deficits, protein, and fiber. 4. Building muscle before cutting. 5. Rethinking cardio intensity. And finally 6. The slow fat loss approach.
All right, section 1. The premise. Are short girls biologically different when it comes to weight loss?
It's really important to note right off the bat that Greg actually praises the original creator's transformation. He points out that she went from a starting point of around 35% body fat down to a very healthy, highly toned 22%. And he commends her for doing this completely naturally. However, he firmly rejects the core premise driving her rules. He argues that her height just doesn't necessitate a unique biological approach. The results are fantastic, absolutely, but the short girl categorization, according to Greg, is biologically irrelevant.
Moving on to section 2, the scale versus the mirror. Basically, how should you be tracking your progress?
The psychological angle here is just fascinating. The original creator advises ditching the scale entirely and relying on the mirror and how your clothes fit, arguing the scale can't tell if you're losing fat or muscle. Greg's rebuttal? It's pretty intense. He argues that mirrors actively trigger body dysmorphia. Actually, your brain can play serious tricks on you, making you think you look worse the leaner you get. Plus, humans simply lack the laser eyes required to accurately gauge a 1 or 2% drop in body fat just by glancing in a mirror. You need objective data.
And here is the biological math backing up Greg's love for the scale. 10 times. A natural athlete loses fat roughly 10 times faster than they can build muscle. The original creator worried that the scale might not move because she was building muscle while losing fat simultaneously. Greg points out that this is, mathematically speaking, highly improbable. Because fat drops so much faster than muscle grows, if you are actually in a calorie deficit, it's practically impossible for the scale not to go down over time.
So, what should the scale actually say? Well, Greg's ideal target is losing 0.5% to 1% of your total body weight each week. That is the ultimate sweet spot to ensure you're dropping fat without burning away your hard-earned muscle. He also neutrally notes that if you aren't hitting this because intense hunger is constantly breaking your deficit, there are medical tools available now. He points to things like GLP Max supplements or medically prescribed peptides to quiet that biological food noise that makes dieting so agonizing for people suffering from obesity.
Which brings us to section 3, deficits, protein, and fiber. Let's talk about the missing piece of the puzzle.
Both sides actually find some solid common ground here. They completely agree that a small calorie deficit is essential. The original creator pairs this small deficit with high protein specifically to look lean. Greg totally agrees with the deficit and the protein, noting that protein is what actually preserves the muscle tissue. But he argues she's missing a massive, absolutely critical piece of the satiety puzzle. You can eat protein all day, but if you want to actually survive a diet without suffering, you need fiber.
The absolute game changer in Greg's rebuttal is this number, 30 grams. That's his recommended daily minimum for fiber, primarily sourced from low-calorie fruits and vegetables. To put that into perspective, the average person consumes a measly 14 grams a day. If you're cutting calories without drastically bumping up your fiber, you're going to be starving. Fiber literally physically fills your stomach, keeping you satiated, which is the ultimate key to not completely ruining that small deficit.
All right, section 4, building muscle before cutting. Let's get into the bulking versus main gaining debate.
And wow, does this brilliantly illustrate the divide between subjective feeling and objective physiology. The original creator's third rule is to bulk intuitively to build a solid foundation of muscle before even attempting to get lean. Greg strongly pushes back against this. He advocates for main gaining, which is lifting weights while already in a calorie deficit.
He believes that telling someone who's already at a high body fat percentage, say 35 or 40%, to intuitively eat in a surplus just to build muscle is genuinely terrible advice that only delays their health goals.
Greg uses a really solid mathematical argument here to drive his point home. Ask yourself, given how incredibly slow natural muscle growth really is, how many years would it take to build a meaningful 10 pounds of muscle before you even start your diet? Are you really going to purposely stay at an unhealthy body fat percentage for years, actively delaying your fat loss just to build a baseline? It's just highly impractical. Furthermore, the original creator claimed that having more muscle allows her to easily eat 2,000 calories a day and stay lean. Well, Greg breaks down the math to completely debunk the myth that extra muscle alone turns you into some kind of calorie-burning furnace. 1 pound of muscle at rest only burns about 8 calories a day. So, 10 pounds of new muscle? That only gives you an extra 80 calories a day to play with. Greg points out the real reason she can eat 2,000 calories isn't just the muscle tissue. It's because she is actively using her body through cardio, lifting, and daily movement.
Let's look at Section 5, Rethinking Cardio Intensity. It's all about workout efficiency.
Now, Greg is thrilled that the original creator isn't hating on cardio. They're both totally on the same page that it's fantastic for extending your life, but they definitely differ on the execution. Rule 4 suggests easy Zone 2 flat walking. Greg counters that, yeah, walking is good, but flat walking for a healthy young person is closer to basic daily movement, what we call NEAT, or non-exercise activity thermogenesis. It's not quite a dedicated cardiovascular workout. He argues that moderate intensity, specifically utilizing an incline, is a vastly more efficient use of your time.
Let's put that into perspective. If a 154-pound person speed walks at 3 miles per hour on a totally flat surface, they'll burn about 300 calories in an hour. But if you take that exact same speed, or even drop it slightly to 2 miles per hour, and simply add a 15% incline, you instantly double the burn to 600 calories. I mean, why spend an entire hour burning 300 calories when you could burn 600, or just get your 300-calorie workout done in half the time? For Greg, moderate intensity and efficiency are absolutely key. And that brings us to Section 6, the slow fat loss approach. Let's look at a truly sustainable protocol. The ultimate takeaway from Greg's side of the debate is built entirely around one concept: sustainability. He recommends a very minor 250 to 500 daily calorie deficit, aiming to lose just half a pound to maybe a pound a week. You pair this with full body lifting twice a week, massive amounts of high fiber foods to keep you full, and moderate intensity cardio. Why so slow? Because crash dieting causes massive spikes in ghrelin. That's your hunger hormone. Fast weight loss just leads to intense hunger pangs, wild 10,000-calorie cheat days, and inevitably putting all the weight right back on. Slow and steady protects your muscle and, honestly, your sanity. Which leaves us with this final question to reflect on today. When you look at your own health goals, are you looking for a specialized, localized hack to get results fast? Or are you adopting a slow, mathematically sound, biologically proven approach that you can actually maintain for the rest of your life? The laws of thermodynamics aren't going anywhere, so how you choose to work with them is entirely up to you. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep